I can't tell you how many guys I've met along the way. I've done it myself. I'm praying for my wife to change. I want this thing to be different or whatever else.
Yeah.
And God's saying, bro, I'm waiting for you to change before I even listen.
Welcome to the Step Up Podcast, where our goal is to help you step up in every area of your life. I'm your host, Josh Thomas, and I'm joined by my pastor, Chris Kouba.
Okay, so what do you do when you come home? Like long day at work, stressful, whatever, normal stuff. Ministry's just
it can be tough.
Is. You come home, what's your routine go-to? What do you do?
So if it's just been a long day, I'll get home and I usually sit on the couch and I'll doom scroll for like 5 to 10 minutes.
Do you like feel better about yourself at the end of the day?
No, I think it's just a brain break. I'm just like, my brain just
Do you like look down and sometimes you've been there for a lot longer than 5 minutes?
I mean, I just say 5 to 10, but sometimes it's a little longer.
Round up.
Yeah, it's a little longer than 5 to 10. But but then after that,
to drink, do you say hi to Lily? What do you do?
Yeah, I used to say hi to Lily Grace. She's usually on the couch too, but she's like watching TV or something. So it's pretty quiet at the end of the day whenever we get home. So what about you?
I come home, first thing I do is kiss my wife. And then I have gotten to where I drink a Dr. Pepper Zero almost every day. I don't even know why. Wow. I have no idea why that's even.
This is like a full can?
Just a can.
Okay.
Dr. Pepper Zero for whatever reason. Do that. I have to guard myself because I will try to eat a meal, literally a full meal prior to the actual meal.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Okay.
So kind of have to hold off a little bit. But I will typically sit on the couch and fight falling asleep. That's my routine. Like, it's like, I just right away, like that's the case. But I know that's probably not the best thing for sure. I need to figure out how to engage a little more and how to do all of that. I definitely have done this though, many times, especially if it's a stressful day. I will drive around my neighborhood multiple times
before you go inside.
Before I actually go inside.
Why do you do that?
Almost like it's a mental, like whenever I cross into this garage, I kind of gotta be on. And I don't mean on like you know, like having to do work, but I think there is a little bit of like, I do need to recognize like I can't come in here and just veg out. Because I feel like whenever it comes to men, like everybody's tired. Like everybody's working,
especially after a long day. Yeah,
everybody's whatever. But you kind of got. Let me pitch this to you. You got two different households.
All right. Okay? Household number one.
Household number one. You got the guy that comes home. He goes and grabs a beer. He sits on the couch and he's just kind of hanging out with his feet up, propped up. His wife maybe's got a situation that she needs to talk through, and Hillary does that for me, you know. And it's like, I don't want to mess with that. I don't want to think about that right now. And then all of a sudden you kind of look up and then she's mentally, physically, whatever, exhausted, and you're just disengaging.
Well, that sounds pretty common though, right?
And numbing, right? I mean, I think that's almost like a situation. Okay, think about the other situation.
Okay, household number
You get
two.
a dad come in. A dad comes home. He's just as exhausted. He's had just as much of a crazy day at work. He walks in. He connects with his wife, talks to her. She's got a situation she needs to talk to him about. And he's like, okay, let me help with dinner. Let me get the kids situated. After we put the kids down for bed, then we'll sit down and talk. And it's a situation where it's not like he has to deal with stuff right away.
Yeah.
I think that's sometimes like, if it's right away, then all of a sudden you're kind of out.
Yeah.
But there is a situation it's like, okay, but we are going to save space. We are going to save time to be able to walk through this. And you have two totally different approaches.
Two different outcomes though.
But household two is one that shows leadership in his family. Household one is one that shows just avoidance in his family. And the two different outcomes are significant, particularly in what they necessarily try to achieve. And I think it's important that we kind of think through, how is it that you lead your wife in a way that is going to help prop her up and help lead and support your family, instead of being in a situation to where the wife's just kind of frustrated all the time because the man just doesn't engage.
Yeah, I would say that I'm excited about this conversation because I feel like this is a pretty common tension that a lot of households face, because everybody's tired, everybody's got responsibilities, everybody's got stuff to do.
You're working hard, you're going to be worn out.
Of course, you know, and so, but it is that balance of, okay, who gets what of me, you know, and how do you do that in a way that is effective and loving and kind. And so I'm excited about this conversation because I think it's just going to be a good one for folks listening.
But you need to know this is a hard conversation, because even as I was thinking through, writing some things down actually on paper, thinking this through, and I just knew I needed to do better. Like I need to step it up. I need to be, this is me not telling you what I've mastered. This is me telling you, man, I got to have a kind of a constant daily battle thinking through what does it look like when I walk in the house to be able to actually engage and lead my family well.
All right. Well, let's dive into it, Pastor Chris.
I think it's important we first of all need to kind of understand why this is the case. Like I've thought through this, like where do you learn how to be a man? I mean, just think through that. Like most of it is just caught, not necessarily taught, right? Or it's from friends, or it's from TV, or it's whatever case
Monday
may be.
Night WWE.
Yeah, well, there you go. That's a version of a man for sure, no question. But think about this from a cultural perspective, okay? Like 200 years ago, whatever, people were with their dads all the time. They went to school at kind of homeschool. They were in a situation to where there was like they were learning trades from their dads. They were just it was a lot of caught type situation. And I think because of that, it was one that the dad was very present in the son's life. You then fast forward and think about this. All of a sudden, you begin to have the Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution begins to now pull dads away. You then begin to have world wars happen. Now you got dads being deployed, going off literally overseas. And so now all of a sudden, they're not being raised by dads at all. They're raising dads by images and stories of these men at war, but they're really being raised by the moms,
and
right?
Fathers really aren't teaching sons much
because they're separated. They're not even together. They're not even in the same place. Then they come back, and then they all of a sudden have to go to factories, and they're going off and working at these various factories, and so therefore there's even more separation. The idea of kind of like modeling for your kid, your son, what it looks like to be a man begins to shift and begins to stop. Then fast forward, you got 1950s, you got the 1960s, all about the American dream. It's all about working longer hours. It's all about chasing success. It's all about accumulating stuff. And the idea of kind of connecting with your kids begins to take a back seat. And then in 1970, you begin to have the television that gets introduced. And now all of a sudden you begin to see shows that are literally mocking masculinity. Right?
What's that show? Archie
Bunker.
Archie Bunker.
So a man is like the idiot of the family, right? He's the one that can't get it all together. It's like kind of buffooning men, making fun of them on a constant basis. And the message seeps into the culture. Men are incompetent. Women are the one who kind of actually have it all together. And then that just gets reinforced with every single sitcom that comes after that. But then all of a sudden you have this monumental, I would say one of the greatest days in history, but certainly also one of the most difficult days.
Blessing and curse. Let's just call it that.
Golden shadow of everything,
of
right?
Course, of course.
1979, you have the show SportsCenter. All of a sudden now you went from having news being something that you got caught up on. You may saw a highlight at the end of the news channel. Now you have 24-hour news cycles, which now created a whole generation. I was a big one of this.
Yeah.
Who what it looked like to be a man was basically athletic prowess. You being able to be a sports star. And so therefore that was on the posters on my wall when I was growing up were these were kind of the images, the idols of the people that I wanted to be. And there was also a scoreboard that also showed you, am I successful or not? And so everything became about how can I be a better athlete? Okay, how can I do better at this sport? How can I excel in this particular area? And it requires you to begin to think through that because it's gotten way worse even since I was growing up. But then all of a sudden, parents begin to parent their kids in a way to try to create the sports stars that they either were or they never got to be. And so therefore, all of a sudden, I got to get my kid the best sports. I got to get the best opportunity.
The teacher even becomes a television at that point.
Or the teacher becomes some other coach to where the majority of the time is spent trying to train a skill instead of being with their dad. And I think what ends up happening is it creates this world to where the dads are just kind of like, the moms are needing to engage. They're needing to ask him like, what's going on? How do I respond to this? The dad's like, hey, whatever you want. The game's on.
Yeah. You're watching SportsCenter.
The game's on.
Yeah.
I'm trying to watch and see what's going on here. I'm trying to check and see what's happening. And what happens is that it begins to fast forward. Think about this. The 90s and the 2000s brings video games.
Yeah.
Brings fantasy sports. Brings the internet. So now you're not just watching sports. You're managing lineups. You're checking stats 3 times a day, which, by the way, my fantasy team is struggling right now on staff. Just throwing that out there. It's been bad. Joe Burrow was my pick, and it's been disaster. Derrick Henry has just tanked. Anyway, whatever.
Yeah.
It's engaging, it's competitive, it's strategy, which are all good things, but it also changes your level of engagement with your family. Then all of a sudden, 2007, what was introduced in 2007?
iPhone, I got you.
The iPhone. Right?
I got you on that one.
And now all of a sudden you've got in your pocket 24/7, you're scrolling, you're sitting at the dinner table, it feels productive, you're staying informed, you're managing your team, but really what you're ultimately doing is you're just avoiding the hard work and being present.
Yeah.
And then here's what I've also seen happen with so many guys, you and I've talked about this on multiple episodes, is that then what happens is that same device, which you're using to escape, you also escape with actual physical connection with your wife because you end up looking at porn.
Yep.
And so it's changed everything about how your relationship with your wife looks like. Whereas before she was meant to be the sole provider of physical affection.
Man.
Now all of a sudden your mind is so jacked up and warped from having to look at this kind of thing. The idea of what it looks like. I think a little bit of this is like, how are we surprised that we're dealing with what we're dealing with? Yeah. Because it's an absolute mess. Because you got a whole generation of men, 2010, let's think about this, 2020s.
Yeah, I was going to say 2010 and 20s.
Toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
Me Too movement. You've got these legitimate things that came up that happened that put themselves in a situation to where men were abusing power. But then it almost has led to like, well, now it's like
be passive.
Scary for a man to do anything.
Yeah.
And so if I'm going to lead my wife, if I'm going to like actually step up and do some of the things that have been historical family values and biblical values that are important, it's going to feel like I'm kind of countercultural in every way. Like the idea of submission for a wife, the idea of leadership for a husband feel like crazy terms. And the reality is they're as normal as ever. They should be things that are totally a part of it. And they end up in household one where they're just like, babe, just do it.
Yeah.
Like I got my drink. I'm going to watch the game. Like just, you figure it out.
You know, it's really insightful just to walk through just how the decades have influenced, particularly male leadership in the home. But I mean, obviously we recognize the problem. The question now is, well, what's the solution?
Yeah.
And where do we look? How do we, where should we go to kind of rewire some of this thinking? Because we're competing against a few things. Thoughts on that one?
I think you always have got to go back to the scriptures. I mean, we want to be, if we're going to be men who actually step up, if we're going to be men who actually change, if we're going to be men who are different, we've got to get our cues from the scriptures. And this is an area where the scriptures are super clear about. I mean, it is crystal clear. We've talked about this before. You got to make a choice. We've talked about that in the past, Joshua 24. I want to read a verse for you though in 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 7. I read it this morning in my devotional time with the Lord and just reminded of the calling that I have for my wife. Okay, here's the verse says. It's actually a pretty crazy verse. It says, husbands, live with your wives in an understanding way, showing honor to the woman as the weaker vessel, since they are heirs with you of the grace of life, so that your prayers may not be hindered.
That's an interesting thing, that last phrase, so that your prayers may not be hindered. What is that? It catches my ear. And so what does it mean?
It should scare you to death.
Yeah.
It scares me to death.
Like hindered prayers. I'm like, whoa.
It says how you treat your wife directly affects your relationship with God. Meaning this, you could be reading the Bible every day.
Wow.
You could be serving every weekend. You could be doing all the Christian things that you're supposed to. But if you're not showing respect, if you're not showing consideration for your wife, your spiritual life is going to be compromised.
Okay, so let me get this straight. You're saying that a guy that might be struggling spiritually, right? Feeling distant from God. Like when we hear it all the time. Like I just haven't heard from God.
Sure.
I just don't know what my next step is. I just, feeling all those tensions. My prayers aren't going anywhere. You're telling me that one of the first places that he should probably look is at the state of his marriage.
Your marriage. Look at your marriage. Let me give you the principle, Josh. The quality of your relationship with your wife will affect the quality of your relationship with God. You can't compartmentalize these things. You can't say, well, I'm good with God, but my home is a mess. I can't say, well, I'm going to have this whole situation over here and me and God are just going to go off by ourselves because my wife can't get it together. Bro, your wife not getting it together is your responsibility, and how you handle that will determine how. I can't tell you many guys I've met along the way. I've done it myself. I'm praying for my wife to change. I want this thing to be different or whatever else. Yeah. And God's saying, bro, I'm waiting for you to change before I even listen.
Man, this is one really good, but it's also heavy sobering, but also really clarifying, because the truth is that you're exactly correct. Like, that's it. And so, guys, like, listen to that.
Yeah.
Like, look at the evidence that's been in front of you, and then go look at the quality or the state of your marriage. And as a guy that's been married for almost a year, or actually just over a year.
Congratulations.
So thank you, by the way.
Yes.
You know, like, this is just good stuff for me too. But I'd love for you to get a bit more practical, Pastor Chris. What does this actually look like on a day-to-day basis?
Let's walk it through. The passage lays it out for us, which makes it super helpful. There's 4 different things. A roadmap. The first one I want to mention to you is that of provider. Okay. We hear the word provider, we immediately think about money, right?
Of course. Yeah.
And so, but it's much more than that. Okay. You're supposed to be physically providing. You're supposed to be actually present. There's a big thing. I think, you got to actually like engage to where you're like there, you know, like one of the things my mom, that Hillary will get on to me at times, and she'll, even my kids will as well, is like, Dad, are you listening to me? Dad, are you listening to me? Right. What are they saying? It's not that I'm not maybe even looking at them, or maybe even like,
yeah,
or yeah,
it's like,
or whatever.
Are you present in this
but
conversation?
I'm not actually there.
Yeah.
Right. Or if there's a situation to where it's like, you know, okay, I'll talk to you in a second, but like, it's 4th and 5. We've got to watch this right now.
Yeah.
Right. You know, but the idea, it's funny in that, but in many ways, like, are you physically present? Like, are you with it? Or looking at your phones at the same room is not basically having presence with your spouse.
That should step on some toes. Stepped on mine.
Well, it's a thing. I'm guilty of that as well, right? There's emotional provision, meaning this, you got to validate her feelings. Let me just be honest with you guys. If you don't, there's going to be some other guy that will. So at the end of the day, part of what God is calling you to do is to live with your wife in an understanding way, meaning I got to emotionally provide for her. I can't, when she brings something, hey, you're being too sensitive, you're overreacting. Like, I can't, I've got to really guard that, because my wife's an Enneagram 9. She's like a peacemaker.
Yeah.
I'm an Enneagram 8. I'm a challenger. And so therefore I'm always going to win.
Yeah.
But that's not my responsibility. My responsibility is not to win. It's not to defeat my wife. My responsibility instead is to provide for her emotionally, so that she won't go try finding that from someone else, from somebody else, or from scrolling and figuring out what's going on there.
Yeah. So is there a spiritual provision element to this? I feel like there has to be, Pastor Chris.
Man, you live with your wife in an understanding way. Here's what this means. I've got to live with my wife, and I got to lead that wife to church. I got to lead that wife from a spiritual standpoint. I got to be at the situation to where I'm not just the designated prayer. I'm the designated prayer in my family, right? You can imagine, just because I'm the pastor, I'm sure you're going to be the case for you as well.
Yay.
But you know what? I'm the dedicated prayer because I'm the husband. I'm the dedicated prayer. Like, it's my responsibility to pray. It's my responsibility to speak about the spiritual things. It's my responsibility to go at lunch and let's talk about what we learned today at church. Let's talk about what this looks like.
But yeah, the crazy reality about that though, PC, and we see it all the time. I'm even seeing it with some of the young adult guys, is like the girlfriend is inviting him to church, and she's telling everybody, "Hey, we're going to church," and she's leading that instead of him leading that.
I talk to my girls about this all the time. I talk to my girls about this. I talk to my oldest about this even recently. Okay, about just like, hey, like when we're talking about who you're looking for, they're running hard after Jesus. If you're running ahead of them, and you're up here running hard after Jesus, and they're over here saying that they're church-wise, but they're behind you, at the end of the day, that's not a good. Because you can't be dragging them along.
Preach it.
You instead have got, now look, if a girl, you're listening to this podcast right now, and a girl's the one that got you to church, that's fine. But it's your job.
Exactly.
It's your responsibility.
100%.
So what I'm telling you is that you got to live with your wife in an understanding way, meaning this, you be the one opening the door for your spouse to church. Don't be the guy walking in 3 steps behind your wife, walking into the physical building. Like, let it be a situation to where your kids are never going to have to ask, are we going to go to church today? Because the answer's never been no. It's always yes. And so therefore it's an assumed thing, but that's what when you live with your wife in an understanding way, it means that I'm living in such a way where I'm going to provide for her. I'm going to make sure that she understands that I'm going to be giving her what she needs financially, giving her what she needs emotionally, but also I'm going to be giving her what she needs spiritually.
And that's so good. And what that communicates to everybody in the house at that point is that dad follows Jesus, so this house follows Jesus.
Sure.
And it's like point case and period.
And also statistics are over the moon talking about basically how when a dad gives his life to Christ and follows hard after Jesus, the percentage of people in the household that also follow is like crazy high.
Wow.
Like it's amazing. Hey, thanks for joining us today. If you have liked what you have heard so far, would you do us a favor and would you make sure that you are subscribed and that you will like this episode and share it with somebody else? We are so encouraged by the feedback we've been getting about the Step Up podcast, but we want more people to know about it, and you can help do that. Thanks so much for listening, and thanks so much for getting the word out. Let me give you the second one, okay? The student. We've talked about this a little bit. Live with your wife in an understanding way, okay? It comes from that phrase that I just mentioned there, where you got to like study your wife. You got to like know what she likes, what stresses her out, what makes me feel loved. Now, this is a little bit intimidating because you and I had a conversation not too long ago.
We did.
Where you showed me up pretty good. I'm going to assume it's just because you're newly married and I'm not. And so
sure.
On the other hand, it's theory I should be better at this.
Yes, you should.
We were talking through, I can't remember what it was. We're talking about doing something for the staff wives or something. And it was Rachel, who works on our team here, said something about, what size shoes does Hillary wear? And I'm like, no idea.
Just wild to me.
And then she's like, well, what, if you were to go buy her some clothes, what would you buy her? I'm like, I don't do that. Well, what is she gold or so?
No idea.
And I felt like an idiot. And then I was like, surely I'm not the only one. So like I asked a bunch of dudes and I asked you.
You did.
And you killed it.
Yeah.
You knew everything.
Yeah.
You knew like where she goes, what she wants,
favorite drinks, all the things.
Do you like write it down or what do you do?
So when we first started dating, yes. Because I was like, this is really easy. To me, I'm like, this is an easy win.
Okay.
Like,
okay.
If I say something stupid, which let's just be honest, I probably will.
You need to pay the tax.
Yes. I've got a whole like favorite things list to get me out of trouble, right? But now I'm like, no, like if she's just having a rough day or something, I'm like, well, I know like her favorite things. And so like maybe one of these cheer up. Now, I never buy her clothes. like ever.
But you would know if you needed to, you could figure it out.
I know where she likes to shop, but I'm never going in the store. And,
my father-in-law, he buys stuff for my mother-in-law all the time. It's kind of amazing. I mean, we grew up, he worked in a clothing store and all that kind of stuff, but that trait did not get passed down to my wife's, to me, right? I mean, unfortunately, I'm not that way at all. But I tell you this, but I do know the stuff that matters.
Yeah.
I can assure you that. I know what's going to make her stressed out. I know it's going to make her anxious. I know it's going to make her in a situation where she's going to feel uncomfortable. I know when I'm going to need to be the guy that's going to be able to step in and kind of help either push her through a decision or help think through a decision or just keep my mouth shut and stop trying to fix things. That's a big thing for me for sure. And I know that because I know my wife. I mentioned earlier she's an Enneagram 9 or whatever. Yeah. You can do all the little stats and tests and whatever else and kind of have a thing. But like I know specifically what that looks like for Hillary. Yeah. Like I know what's going to make her super excited. I also know what's going to be challenging. I know what's going to bother her, right? And so I think because of that, that's just for me. I'm 23 years into this deal. Man, I've studied her. Yeah. Right. I'm not trying to figure out women. Yeah. I don't need to figure out women.
That's good.
I need to figure out Hillary.
Yeah.
Because she's lived with my wife and an understanding my wife. Yeah. Which is hard because at the end of the day, what may work for me doesn't necessarily work for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to be a student of your wife.
Yeah. I mean, we all know this, but you lead. We love the Koubas so much and how you lead your kids and how you lead your wife. And but when it comes to study, what I'm hearing as a young guy is it takes two things. It takes sensitivity, just being in attentiveness.
Totally.
Like you just got to be sensitive to whatever the situation is. And you just got to be attentive to your wife.
Yeah.
And probably listen too, which is the big deal.
Well, I mean, so for me, I've mentioned this, there's systems and rhythms that kind of help with some of this. Hillary and I go on a date every Friday. I would tell you this, my golf game's not as good because we do that. I try to play golf on Fridays at times if I can, every once in a while, whatever the case may be. But, there's times whenever it doesn't really fit. And so therefore I'm going to have to push it back and it's going to be over our lunch. And like, that's not going to be something I'm going to interrupt. And I've just found that the weekly rhythm of that protects and allows me to continue to be a student because, I mean, look, we're in a season right now for teenagers. It's stupid, our schedule. We're ships passing through the night is what it feels like at times. But we know we're going to be able to have that time.
And when you guys have that time, because I would imagine there are a lot of couples with young kids or in y'all's phase of life or somewhere in the middle of all of that, on top of busy work lives and busy personal lives too. How do you protect that time at the table? Like, what are just some dinner table, me and my wife, practical etiquette things that you found?
No phones.
Okay.
I mean, just if you have your phone out or whatever else, you're just naturally going, let me check on this. And then, I got a notification, and then you kind of whatever. But I think in addition to that, we don't over-script it. So, like, I've found that sometimes you need, like, hey, we're going to sit down and we're going to work on this and we're going to talk through this. But I know Hillary hates that. I love that. I'm a goal-oriented, like, let's get this thing down and let's just, like, she doesn't like that, okay? So my conversations with her need to be way more natural and way more of a flow than they do need to be super structured. Yeah. She doesn't say this, but I can feel it. Don't treat me like I'm one of the staff people. Don't treat me like I'm a meeting. Yeah. Right. And so she doesn't say that, but I know that's what the case is. And that's not who my wife needs. She doesn't need me to give her a schedule and whatever else. There's times when clearly there's going to have to be some structure, and I'm kind of wired that way anyway. But the point being is that many times what I just need to do is listen to her talk through what she's dealing with the kids about, or listen to her talk through what she's dealing with at the pregnancy center, and how does that look, and what is her situation like, and does she like it, and just asking questions that I think are engaging with her, that show I actually care about what it is that you're doing, and want to engage that. So I've tried to overschedule it and but that's been me, and that's one of my big faults. And instead, I think presence is more important than what you actually say.
Yeah, and so like let that be like a disarming thing for the guys listening. Like you don't have to do this massive, extravagant thing. It may just be, hey, I just want uninterrupted time with you. Yeah, is what it sounds like. I want uninterrupted time where I'm going to listen to you, look at you, pay attention to you, give you the attention that I have.
How do you think the kids are doing? How do you think we're doing? How do you think anything you want to talk through? Like, that's good. That's inviting the conversation to be a student. Let me give you number 3. Protector. You got to be a protector. This is where you get the phrase in the passage, the weaker vessel comes in. And I know this kind of makes people feel uncomfortable.
Oh yeah, especially in 2025.
It's crazy, man.
A lot of tension around.
This isn't meant to be sexist. He's talking about physical and emotional differences. And look, we know, I mean, this shouldn't be controversial on the podcast here, but like, men are different than women.
Period. Yeah. Yeah. Easy.
Okay. We've seen the stupidity and idiocy of trying to act like somehow we can just, somebody that says they want to be something different and all of a sudden play in another, like, come on, this is the dumbest thing in the whole world.
Wild.
The verse is so clear, right? In this situation as well, there's a difference. And so therefore, in light of that, I'm supposed to be the protector of my kids. I'm supposed to protect them physically, meaning this: if there's something that happens in the middle of the night and you hear a noise, don't hit your wife and say, hey, can you go check on that? Don't do that.
Unless it's a roach. I just got to be honest.
Oh, come on.
I got to be honest.
Suck it up, man.
Maybe for Lily, I will.
You got to suck it up. If you're doing a Facebook marketplace and you're meeting up and you're buying something, you're doing it.
Oh, of course.
Don't let her go.
Of course.
Okay. Like, so there's some physical things that got to be going on here. But I think there also has got to be like, look, I've found everybody's got baggage. Everybody's got a whole suitcase that they're pulling into this relationship, and maybe they'll take some time to take it off and put it up on the shelf, although some kind of just drag it all out, put it right up there, and it's there for all to see. But you got to figure out how to work through that. Hillary and I have been to counseling. We didn't go to counseling because our marriage was falling apart. We went to counseling to make sure that our marriage didn't fall apart.
That's good.
And it was so helpful because it's helped us work through some things along the way that has helped us be able to connect better, that has helped us to be able to engage better, to be able to talk better, to be able to learn how to communicate well. And so I would just encourage you to make sure that you are emotionally protecting your wife as well. I just think the scriptures are pretty clear. I think it's in 1 Timothy. As I say this, it may be 1 Thessalonians, maybe both actually. But it basically talks about how women can be led astray, and that I think part of our responsibility is to kind of get in the way and make sure spiritually they're not running off on rabbit trails, or spiritually they're not finding themselves being kind of consumed by the things of the world and by the whims of it. I think the temptations for women are different than they are for men. Men are a lot of times more visual. Women, though, can kind of get pulled into just these cackle sessions, these gossip deals and this whatever else. And just kind of, and man, I want to provide in such a way where like my wife's not thinking that. Like, that's not my husband. That's not what he does. He doesn't talk about me that way. He doesn't talk about, he's instead, I also want to make sure this is the case too. I actually dealt with this recently. I want to make sure there's never even a smell or a hint to Hillary that somehow I'm looking somewhere else. So one, I do that through text messages, through conversations, through talking. But I think I also do that by just trying to be extreme in every relationship so that one, everybody else knows, oh no, he's with her.
Yeah.
Like he talks about her a lot.
Yeah.
Like he's super proud of her.
Yeah.
Like I praise her. And I think I can protect my wife by protecting me from even having a hint, the Bible says, of sexual immorality.
Yeah.
Not just don't do it.
Yeah.
But like, don't even go around it.
Yeah.
Like be weird. I've said this before. I would rather be awkward and married than friendly and not.
Yeah.
And so therefore,
That's
I just
good.
think that's a key thing to where my wife's not having to have that kind of question. She feels protected in the sense of like, man, he's for me. Like he's into me a lot. Like he's all about it. Let me give you the last one. We need to be done. Cherisher. Cherisher, okay? This is the end of that verse. It says, showing honor to the woman since they are heirs with you of the grace of life. Your wife isn't your employee. Your wife isn't your helper. She's a co-heir with you in God's grace. She deserves to be honored. It's a weird word, but it's a good word. She deserves to be cherished.
All right, so what does that practically look like?
Spend real time with her. No, we've talked about it a lot. No phone, no distractions, help with the house. Remember special occasions, plan ahead. Don't get the last minute stuff. Keep your word. Speak well of her. Speak well of her in front of your kids. Talked about that a couple episodes ago. To where, man, you know, like I just brag on Hillary all the time in front of the kids. Like you realize how much your mom is she's awesome. And I'm not just saying that to try to build that into the kids. I'm saying that because like she is.
Yeah.
She legitimately is in every way. Call her, let her know that what you're thinking about your little things that kind of just show that she's on your mind. And I know some guys are thinking like, well, I'm just not wired that way.
Yeah. I was going to say, what about the guy that's like, I'm just not romantic. I don't know how to do this kind of stuff. What would you say to that guy?
Okay. There's going to be other guys that are going to be crushing it and going to be way better than you, but that doesn't mean you can't send your wife a text that tells her that you know you're thinking of her. And it's not just like a, hey, let's think about later and whatever else kind of a deal, but instead just, hey, I just want to tell you I like you. I just want you to know I'm thinking about you.
Yeah, I like that.
I just want you to know that I'm for you. And it's not about romanticism. It's about obedience. And God commands you to honor your wife. So even if it doesn't come naturally, flex and work muscles that will eventually get easier to use over the course of time. And she's going to feel valued and she's going to feel seen. And then guess what the benefit is? We talked about this before. Your relationship with God's going to improve.
Your quality of relationship with God deepens. Yeah. Okay, so we've got provider, student, protector, cherisher. Man, that's a high bar. PC, what's one thing you can leave guys with that may be in household one?
Get off the couch.
Okay.
And get in that conversation. I think at the end of the day, I want to just encourage you not to assume anything, but instead to engage. Yeah. Passivity is the death of men today. We see it in so many different ways, but I'm telling you, if you'll just engage, whether that's a weekly date, whether that's some sort of constant engagement, pursue the wife of your youth is what the scriptures say in the book of Proverbs. Okay. And that pursuit will, I think, allow there to be these things be put in place as you provide for her, as you protect her, as you're that student, but then ultimately as you begin to cherish her. Man, that's amazing. That's amazing. And guys, your marriage is worth fighting for. Yeah. Like it's just worth fighting for. All right. 3 things, guys. First, have a conversation with your wife this week. Second, pick one area that you can take one action step in. And then 3, share this episode with a guy that's struggling, living in household number 1 that doesn't want to be there. And we love to hear your feedback. We love to hear the wins from this. We're all trying to step up here together. Pastor Chris, thank you so much. Thanks, guys, for listening to Step Up. I'm Josh, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks for listening to the Step Up Podcast. Do us a favor and like, subscribe, and share this episode to help us get the word out. We would love to hear from you. So please leave us a comment and even leave us a review wherever you listen to your podcast. For additional information or to reach out directly, please visit chriskouba.com. That's chriskouba.com. You can also follow Pastor Chris on social media and just search Chris Kouba. Kouba is Kouba. You can also follow United City Church on all socials at United City Church. That's going to be UNTD City Church. Thanks so much.